The energy dynamic in your relationship starts flipping. Before, you might have been the one always giving, always fixing, always understanding. Awakening teaches you the value of boundaries, not walls and boundaries. You stop bleeding energy for validation. You stop explaining your worth. You stop trying to prove your kindness by exhausting yourself. And suddenly, people who benefited from your lack of self-respect will feel threatened. They'll say you've changed, and they'll be right. But they'll confuse your peace for arrogance, your independence for rebellion. Because in a world addicted to emotional dependency, self-awareness looks like betrayal. Sometimes awakening tests you through people. The ones who once praised your loyalty may turn against you when you no longer play the same role. The ones who said, "I'll always be there," may disappear the moment you stop being useful. And that's when you understand one of the deepest truths of higher consciousness. Not everyone is meant to walk your entire journey. Some people are teachers disguised as heartbreaks. Some are mirrors, showing you your own shadow. And some are simply lessons in letting go gracefully. Once you stop fighting for those who drain your light, you begin to attract those who match it. You start valuing quality over quantity. The loud circles become smaller. The laughter becomes quieter but more real. You stop chasing chemistry that burns fast and start craving connection that grows slowly. The old version of you might have needed constant reassurance. The awakened version of you needs consistency. You don't need people who promise. You need people who show up. You don't need attention. You need alignment. That's the difference awakening brings. It changes what you're available for. You no longer settle for halfway energy, halfway love, or halfway truth. But awakening doesn't only remove, it refines. It deepens the relationships that survive it. When two people evolve together, something magical happens. Conversations become healing. Silence becomes safe. The connection stops being about escaping loneliness and becomes about expanding consciousness together. It's no longer "you complete me." It's "we see each other." That's the rare kind of relationship awakening can build. One that exists not out of need, but mutual growth. But to reach that stage, you have to walk through the part where everything that's not real falls apart. And that part hurts. There will be moments when you feel disconnected from everyone. You'll sit among people you love and feel like an observer, not a participant. You'll wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I feel what I used to feel? That's not numbness. It's awareness detaching from illusion. The awakening mind doesn't reject love. It just stops confusing attachment with connection. You start noticing how many relationships are built on fear of being alone rather than genuine understanding. That awareness can make you feel isolated for a while, but it's actually clearing space for deeper authenticity. Real connection can't grow in a garden of fear. And then slowly, your energy changes the way people react to you. You might notice that strangers open up to you more easily, or that old friends avoid you because your presence makes them self-reflect. It's not personal. Your energy has become a mirror, and not everyone is ready to face what it reflects. Some will feel drawn to you but confused by you. They'll sense your calm and misinterpret it as distance. But the right ones, the ones who've also touched awakening, will recognize that calm. They'll feel it as home. These are your people. The ones who don't need to explain energy because they live it. Awakening also changes how you love. You stop romanticizing chaos. You no longer fall for potential. You value peace. You stop chasing people who get you and start connecting with people who grow you. You understand that real love isn't about losing yourself. It's about finding yourself with someone who celebrates that discovery. You realize that attraction without alignment is just chemistry without purpose. And you begin to crave depth, not drama. You become less impressed by grand gestures and more drawn to emotional maturity. Love starts to look less like butterflies and more like stability. Less like sparks and more like steady light. Sometimes awakening shows you that love isn't always meant to last. It's meant to teach. You'll look back on someone who broke your heart and realize they didn't destroy you. They revealed what was unhealed within you. Every heartbreak becomes a teacher, every loss a portal. And suddenly you stop carrying resentment because you see that even the painful relationships were necessary for your evolution. That forgiveness isn't about excusing behavior. It's about freeing your energy from repeating the same cycle. The moment you release that emotional weight, your vibration rises and life begins aligning people who resonate with your healed frequency. And that's where relationships begin to transform into something more conscious. Instead of what can I get from you, the question becomes, what can we grow together? Instead of how do you make me feel secure, it becomes, how can we both feel safe being our true selves? You stop needing control. You stop performing. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes. You begin trusting the natural flow of connection, that those meant for you will meet you in energy, not just emotion. That realization frees you from chasing what was never yours to begin with. But make no mistake, this phase of growth doesn't come without loss. You'll outgrow people who swear they'll never leave. You'll disappoint those who preferred the smaller version of you. You'll even have moments when you miss the simplicity of ignorance, when not knowing felt easier than knowing. But once awareness expands, there's no going back. The peace of consciousness is worth every empty space that ignorance once filled. You start understanding that the relationships you lose are not tragedies, they are transitions. And transitions, though painful, are proof of progress. As you walk deeper into awakening, you realize that relationships are mirrors, and the clearer you become, the more truth they reflect. The person who criticizes you for changing is showing you where they refuse to evolve. The one who celebrates your growth is showing you who they truly are. It's all feedback. Every interaction becomes a reflection of your internal state. You no longer blame, you observe. You no longer react, you respond. That's when your relationships start becoming classrooms instead of cages. You stop being triggered and start being taught. And something unexpected happens. The more you evolve, the less you need people to validate your experience. You can love someone deeply without needing to control their perception of you. You can walk away without resentment. You can stay without fear. That emotional independence is one of the most powerful signs of spiritual maturity. It means you've learned how to connect without attachment, how to care without losing yourself, and how to love without conditions. That's the kind of energy that doesn't chase. It attracts. It doesn't demand, and it inspires. And when you start radiating that kind of balance, the relationships around you either rise to meet it or fall away. There's also a humbling side to this transformation. You start noticing how your own patterns contributed to the chaos. Awakening doesn't just expose others, it exposes you. You realize how often you sought validation through helping others, how often you confused attention with love, how often you stayed silent to keep the peace. And when you begin healing those parts, your relationships start healing too, because your outer world always reflects your inner state. Once you start relating from wholeness instead of wounds, everything changes. You no longer attract people to fill your emptiness. You attract people to share your fullness. And then one day it happens quietly. You wake up and realize that your relationships finally feel peaceful. Not because everyone else changed, but because you did. You no longer need to prove your worth, earn love, or justify your boundaries. You understand that love doesn't always mean closeness. Sometimes it means space. Sometimes it means walking away from what once felt familiar so you can grow into what's real. That's what awakening does. It strips away everything false until only truth remains. And in that truth, your relationships stop being about who stays or leaves. They become about what stays true within you. If this connected with you, thank you for watching until the end. Like and subscribe, not just for the words, but for the journey we're walking together. Because awakening doesn't end when people leave. It begins when you finally meet yourself fully and learn to love from that place of peace.